And welcome to Community Kitchen. Fantastic. We're going to be talking with Alex Clark very shortly. We're going to be talking about what our Community Kitchen did at the Caboolture Show this year, which was fantastic. And, of course, there's lots of other things to talk about. But right now I think we might talk to our first guest, Alex Clark.
Hey, how are you?
How are you, Alex?
Very well, thank you.
Been enjoying looking at the this month's Feast magazine. There's some wonderful things. I love the winter desserts. The concentration on beef. I think the one thing that I get this feeling with the Feast magazine, it's all about these family recipes.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we love talking to families and people from particular regions around the world about the recipes that really kind of resonate with them, that have, been in their families for a long time, or that highlight a particular ingredient or a cooking style from their region. So, yeah, we really, I suppose, with our recipes, we love kind of knowing the people behind the recipe as well. It's never just about the food with us. It's all about the people and the stories as well.
I think it makes it warm and fuzzy, doesn't it, when you put the people to the recipes?
Well, yeah, I think it gives it a lot more context and a lot more life. And I mean, I really like knowing that, this is the recipe that someone's grandmother used to make for them, or that, a type of pasta has a particular nickname because the priest used to eat so much of it, and all of that kind of thing. I think it really it adds to your experience of the food for me.
Well, opening up this month's issue, I saw winter desserts, and I must say that it was only about a week and a half ago that I made a syrup saucing pudding, something that my mother used to make regularly, and seeing that in the mag today when I was reading, I thought, that is so familiar to me, so it sort of gives you that great feeling. Looking at beef too, I mean, you've done beef here, 6 cultures, different way. I mean, we've had so much talk in the papers just recently about our cattle industry, and to see something like that profiled is just such a good thing, because I think we take for granted the quality of meat that we get in Australia.
Yeah, I think we're really fortunate with our meat here in Australia. We've got such a broad range of different meats and different products, and I think, by and large, it is really good quality. I think we, without realising it, we're probably streets ahead of a lot of the meat that's in other countries around the world. I won't name names, but yeah, beef especially, I think, is something that you can find in just about every Australian home. So it was a perfect one for our one ingredient feature, and of course we wanted to go, beyond a steak. Lots of people are trying lots of different things now, so it was great to get some really varied recipes for this feature.
We've got a Queensland article of the Sunnybank. I think it's amazing. Once upon a time, Chinatown, of course, used to be the bustle of Chinese food and great place to get ingredients. But Sunnybank has become such an interesting area.
Yeah, well, we're fortunate enough to have that one of our staffers is from Brisbane, and she grew up in and around Sunnybank. So when we said that we wanted to do Sunnybank in the neighbourhood, she was all over it, and she really loves the chance to go kind of, back to that neighbourhood and learn a bit more about it by really talking to the people. They're doing food tours up around there now, which is great, talking to people who've worked in the restaurants up there for, 20 or 30 years now. And they, are just so keen to teach people about what's available there. And again, the thing that I just love about Australia, having just come back from a couple of weeks in Europe, is just the huge variety of food that we have available here. Any day of the week kind of thing. You can go out and there's so many different cuisines and cultures to choose from, and, I just feel so fortunate for that. And like I said, it's always really highlighted to me when I go away, and, love the food when I'm away, and I love coming back to Australia just because of all the variety that we have here.
Isn't it amazing? A lot of the countries you go to, and I'm not sure, I haven't travelled Europe, but I know that a lot of other places you go to, there's always a Chinatown somewhere, isn't there?
Yeah, there certainly is. I clocked a few Chinese restaurants in Rome when I was there recently, and that was, probably one of the very few kind of non-Italian restaurants that I saw there was, Chinese restaurants in Rome. There's definitely a couple around.
So tell us about this. We have to ask. So you've just been to Italy. You've spent a couple of weeks there. No doubt looking at some interesting new food.
Yeah, I spent a great couple of days in Abruzzo, which is a really gorgeous region of Italy. It's directly east of Rome on the coast of the Adriatic, and it's quite a it's not a very touristy region at all. It's quite quiet. It was kind of protected by isolated by the Apennine Mountains. And it's really lovely because you kind of get the coast and the mountains in close proximity to each other, and it's really known for truffles, for porcini, for mushroom foraging, and also there's a big tradition with their pecorino sheep's milk cheese over there. So spent a couple of days there eating some amazing things, and I'll be writing a story about that in the next couple of months. So stunning scenery as well, really lovely, and some great wines there as well. The Montepulciano variety comes from that region, and there's also a wine there called a pecorino, which is a little confusing when you're eating cheese the entire week as well, but that's a gorgeous white wine variety which I hadn't had before, so that was great. And it was a region that I hadn't been to in Italy before, and it's one that a lot of people haven't heard of, so it was kind of fun to go somewhere beyond, Tuscany, Umbria, and the Amalfi Coast, all of which I would happily go to any day of the week, but it was nice to go somewhere a little bit different as well.
I think that's the one thing about Feast. I was talking to someone the other day about it, and it's like you get this little travel story at the same time, and if you're a food buff and you love reading about food, which I do, you start to actually feel as if you've travelled there a little bit rather than just seeing the recipes on the plate. You've got a little bit of a history with it. You've got a bit of a story, and it makes all the difference.
Yeah, well, I like to think that we can take people on a bit of an armchair journey. I've just been working on some of our future travel stories that we've got coming up in the next couple of issues, and there's just some really great stuff there. One of our contributors has been travelling in, again, quite an isolated region of China, and she just brings the food and the people and the culture to life so well. I was absolutely entranced, and I just love having the opportunity to share that with our readers and hopefully give people a bit of an insight into somewhere that they might not have been before, and that it might inspire them to go there. It might inspire them to try the food, or even if it's just a wonderful story that they enjoy on a Saturday afternoon. I feel really lucky to be able to share that with people.
Yum Cha at home, I think that's a fantastic thing to do, because a lot of people actually get the opportunity and they think, I don't know whether I'd enjoy Yum Cha, but I noticed in this month's feature you've done a little story about doing your own Yum Cha, and I must say I am one of those people. If I go through Chinatown, I do buy a Chinese duck, and I do buy some of their fantastically wicked pork belly, because it is just sensational. And I've found over time that it freezes so well, because, you're not always, we're a little bit away from the city, and it's so nice to do that. So doing your own Yum Cha, that's a little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I feel a little bit un-Australian saying this. I'm not personally a fan of Yum Cha, and it's not the food. I absolutely love the food. It's more the kind of the chaos of it. I'm not really a crowd kind of person, and half the appeal of Yum Cha for most people is the crowd and the chaos. So I really love this story, and actually just this morning I was making the spring onion pancakes and the char siu pork belly at home, which I was shooting for my cook along blog that I've got. So yeah, I did actually eat barbecue pork breakfast this morning, which was pretty good actually. And yeah, all these recipes, they're really simple, but just those beautiful flavors that you get at Yum Cha, and yeah, minus the yelling. So this story really suited me. And like you said, it's great to, when you do go past a Chinese butcher, a Chinese barbecue place, pick up some of the barbecue pork neck, pick up, a barbecue duck, and you can use a bit now, put some away in the freezer for later, and there's kind of an instant flavour hit that's ready to go when you're thinking, what's for dinner tonight? So,
well, actually, I just happened to be watching one of the cooking shows on the television, which has just started again, and they were saying the average person spends the average family spends $204 a week on food and $33 on takeout. I seriously would love to just take that $33 and just go and buy a Chinese duck, and that would be my best takeout of all, I think.
Oh yeah, that'd be pretty high up on my list. I mean, the duck pancakes that we have in this story were absolutely delicious. And I mean, in our recipe, we actually cook the duck ourselves, but there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't just purchase a duck from the Chinese barbecue and just go from there, and that would make this literally a 5-minute recipe. And they were really, really good. Best duck pancakes I've had for a while, so thoroughly recommend giving that one a shot.
So, Alex, you're not a chef, so therefore these things are very accessible to the home cook.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I'm a competent cook. I enjoy cooking, but I'm certainly not a chef by any stretch of the imagination. Our food editor and our developers are all, trained home economists, and some of them have a chef background as well. But certainly with all our recipes in the magazine, they're designed for people at home to be able to cook. And I guess I'm a bit of the crash test dummy on these things, that if I can cook it, then we figure our readers can. I think I'm pretty representative of the reader in that I enjoy cooking, but I'm certainly not a professional by any stretch of the imagination. So, occasionally I like, a little bit of a challenge if there's a technique that I haven't tried before. But generally, I'm just like everyone else. I want to get things on the table relatively simply with not too much fuss, and that's what I love about the majority of the recipes in the magazine, that there might be some ingredients there that aren't perhaps completely familiar, but the techniques and how they actually come together are generally pretty simple and pretty manageable, and I think that's really important. We want this to be a magazine that people actually use. We don't want it just to be a coffee table book.
I think most supermarkets now cover that. We've got I look at the Moreton Bay region, and I think someone was saying one day that we have about 90 different cultures in our region. So our supermarkets over time have accommodated the different types of cooking. So really, if you're looking to do something, you can always find something.
Oh, absolutely. And I think if, the exact ingredient isn't in the supermarket, there's generally something that'll be a pretty close substitution. So, we certainly encourage people to, be a little bit freeform in the recipes. I mean, yeah, I have a reasonably well-stocked pantry, but invariably there's something that I don't have, and I'll kind of go, well, I'll just swap this in instead, and everything always works out fine. So, I'm not a strictly by-the-book recipe follower, and everything seems to come out pretty well. So.
And I think it puts a little slant on it. I think it's fantastic. Let's hope some of our listeners will make that journey to Sunnybank, because I think it's worthwhile to go down there and have a little bit of a look at the fantastic food available. And we look forward to talking to you next month. I'm sure you're going to have some great stories. But are we going to be able to read about your trip next month?
Not quite turning it around that quickly. I've got a fair bit of writing to do after that trip, but it will be in the next couple of months. So no, next month's issue is, we've got lots of French stuff in our next issue, because of course Tour de France is just about to start.
Excellent.
So we've kind of uncovered some really wonderful regional French cuisine. So lots to talk about there for next month.
I'm sure our readers are going to have enough time to do all the winter desserts, some of those fantastic beef recipes. I really do think, personally, we have to just embrace the fact that we have just such beautiful beef in this country, and seeing that article just reinforces all of that. Thanks very much, Alex, for joining us this morning. We'll talk to you next month.
My pleasure.
Bye. And Alex Clark really does have, as I say all the time, a great job. Feast Magazine have some wonderful articles, but the thing is, what I love about it is the fact that whilst the recipes are there, you get to actually learn a little bit about the culture at the same time. Great storybook reading stuff, guys. Have a look at it. You can always go to the library. You don't have to buy, always say, cookbooks, magazines. Go to your local library. They have such resourceful, amazing stock there. Worthwhile becoming a member. I think we'll do our sponsors back shortly. If you were lucky enough to go to the Caboolture Show this weekend, you would have seen the 101.5 had a fantastic presence, and we took our community kitchen. Well, my sister and I, the two old ducks, took our kitchen, our cooking skills to the tent. And it was wonderful knowing that that on a barbecue you can create some wonderful things. We made a fantastic Thai pumpkin soup. We made some beautiful pea and halloumi fritters with a fantastic little dipping sauce. We made skewered fruits. Of course, we got lovely pineapples and bananas and strawberries. It's Caboolture Show, of course. We got fantastic produce there. We grilled them on the barbecue, and we served with them some yogurt and some local honey, some lovely lemon zest. It was so easy, took so little time. We had some incredible helpers. We had a couple of politicians there who were trying to get away with just maybe chopping a little bit, but we made them cook. And it's interesting to see how people just love to eat, number one. But then you also have the people who love to cook. And it doesn't always have to be complicated. And speaking with Alex Clark before, she talks about give it a go. If you don't have the recipes there, it's worthwhile just having a little bit of a go. When we're talking a little bit later about Farm Fantastic coming up, and of course with Farm Fantastic, this is the third year that Community Kitchen has gone to farm, and we do our Food for Thought tent, and this is a time where we can take a lot of different people into our cooking circuit, I could say, and we bring some wonderful ideas and lots of different demonstrations. I think there's a lot of people out there who live by themselves, and sometimes it's probably a little bit difficult to cook a meal just for yourself, or you feel as if it's not worth the effort. Then, of course, we have families nowadays who are just so busy. Whether you've got a business, whether you've got sporting events, whether you've got small children and you're on a time frame, sometimes the cooking for families can be a very daunting thing. And then, of course, the next morning you wake up and you've got the lunch boxes to fill. So, of course, all these things that we're going to be covering in farm, and we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. But going through the papers today, I thought it was quite interesting. There's an article there, making your potato a mash hit. We spoke about making the perfect mash a little while ago, and I mentioned a book that I had bought, Mr. Wilkinson's Vegetables, and I seriously believe it was probably one of the nicest mash I've ever had. And his idea for making mash is never use pepper, only use salt, use excessive amounts of butter, which of course is, you're not going to be doing it all the time. We're talking about a special mash here. You don't have to use the cream and the butter. You can always use milk. But I think the wonderful thing about mash is it's such a cheap thing to do. It's something that your children can get involved in. And there's always those leftovers that you can use, and it's something that we're going to be talking about at farm this year too, is using that time in your kitchen wisely. And leftover mashed potato, of course, is excellent, and they're talking about in the paper here excellent topping for a shepherd's pie. I know it's a great thing if you want to make a batch of tuna or salmon patties, which children love, but of course you can make different additions. And if you go to different restaurants, you'll see that they sometimes have their roasted garlic into the mash. They might put some different fresh herbs. They'll do an Irish-style cabbage and bacon. There's lots of different things to do with that, and I think it's one of those things that you can get your children involved, but at the same time use the freezer. If you're making extra, you can always pop a little bit of extra into the freezer, and one of those days when you're coming home and you know that you haven't thawed something out or you haven't got the right ingredients, you've always got that little backup plan, which I think is a wonderful thing. So it's all about winter foods and looking at all the different beans and pulses available. And we have the fantastic ham hocks that you can get from your butchers. Beautiful things that you can make now. Slow cooking, of course, is a winner in winter. It doesn't have to be a big drama. You can pop something on in the morning, and when you walk in at night, you've got this great meal already on the ready, because the one thing you noticed at winter time, everyone seems to get hungry earlier, and that's always a little bit of a drama because of course, sometimes you're just not ready for it. But getting prepared and using that slow cooker, and once again, go and have a look. There's a lot of different giveaways that you can find at the supermarkets. They have some great little giveaway recipe books, and also I notice in the local butchers you'll find that the MLA puts out some fantastic issues in different seasons. So therefore, at the moment, I'm sure they've got some great ideas for stewings and casseroles and soups, because one of the things, of course, and I say to you, to go and talk to your butcher, wherever he may be, because they can recommend good cuts. I think this is one thing a lot of people say they can't afford to buy different things. Go and talk to your butcher and explain what you want to do, because they're always willing to give you advice. I think that's a great thing. We might go to our sponsors, I think, and we'll come back very shortly and we'll be talking about Farm Fantastic. And you're back with Community Kitchen. Speaking about Farm Fantastic, which of course is going to be happening in July 19th, 20th and 21st, our Food for Thought tent this year is really going to have some fantastic events happening. Of course, I have mentioned our cooking comp that we're running, something my family loves, a meal that is one thing that wins accolades with your family, and we'd love you to get online, have a look at that. Share that recipe in the tent. We'll be doing cooking finalists at 3 o'clock every day. Good guys have come on board and have offered some fantastic prizes. I think it's great to be able to share something. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You might just have that winning biscuit recipe. You might have that great dessert. You might have a good pie. We don't mind what it is, but that's something to look forward to. But this year we're talking about getting started. And there's a lot of things that you hear when you're out and about, and covering the show now for, the time I have for 6 years, I've been listening to a lot of different issues. We're talking about children who are sent to school with lunch boxes that are just full of packaged food. We're talking about people who don't have time to cook and live on takeaways. We're talking about different people who have gone on weight loss programs and it hasn't worked. So this year it's all about getting started. We've got the CWA cooking on Friday and Saturday, and of course they're wonderful. They have such beautiful, simple ideas, and Jill Skinner, she cooked with us last year and she's going to be cooking with us again on Friday and Saturday morning. Cooking for one, and I think that's an interesting thing, because a lot of times when people live by themselves they don't think it's worth the effort, but Jill comes up with some fantastic ideas, how to prepare for the next meal, how to freeze, how to do some interesting little meals, and that's going to be worth looking at. Annette Sim, of course, everyone knows Annette Sim. She's just released her 7th cookbook. She really has changed her life around. I think it was back 20 years ago. This woman went through a campaign of losing weight. She's kept that weight off. 35 kilos, which was astronomical achievement, I think, for anyone to be able to go through that weight loss. She's kept that weight off, and of course her cookbooks show that style of cooking. She's going to come to the tent with her wok, and she's going to show us some fantastic low-fat cooking styles, which I think will be very good. And of course, Lisa Curry is going to, and that's going to be on Friday and Saturday at 10 o'clock. Lisa Curry will be coming on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. And she has this great program. It's Keep It Simple, Sweetheart. And it's all about a little fitness program that is a culmination, apparently, of exercises that you put into your daily routine, changing your eating style around a little bit, and really taking hold of your fitness and your health levels. So that will be fantastic. And, of course, these women will be available to talk to after their demonstrations. Lisa will be cooking also. Long yard beef. Josh has had a great following the last couple of years. We've done some fantastic butchering things. We've made sausages, we've boned, we've taken large pieces of meat and shown the home butcher how they can save money at home, which of course I think is something that we're talking about when we talk about families, is trying to cut those costs at home. If you're buying bulk from your butcher, of course you're going to be saving money. Get together as a group. You can buy half a beast. You can freeze that. You can save some money. You're not compromising your quality, and you know where your food's coming from. We're going to be I put in there, I think it's one thing that a lot of people would love to learn is, how do you tie off that roast? How do those butchers do that little tricky little tie? How do they sharpen their knives well? We're going to be looking at that. And of course we're going to be making sausages again, which is a fantastic crowd pleaser with the guys. Not being sexist here, but the guys love coming in, having a look at that. I think they imagine themselves able to do their own butchering at home. So some of those skills. And of course the two old ducks, my sister and myself, we're going to be taking family meals on as our passion this year. 3 days we'll be cooking. And we're going to be showing you how to make a family meal, take it into your lunch boxes, try and get rid of the takeaway blues. A few great ideas that are quick and easy to do and preparing for the next meal. Our market stalls are a fantastic idea. This year we've got 20 different stalls in our marquee. And this is about produce from around the region. It's about seasonal. It's about people who have taken their passion to another level, have olive groves, grow olives. They do amazing relishes, sauces. We've got Cupcake Lady coming from Toowoomba. We have breads. We have some wonderful things. We have liqueurs, tea blends, coffees. You name it, it will be in our market stalls. And we're going to be using some of these products in our cooking demonstrations over the 3 days. One thing I'm very excited about, we have one of the stall holders who sells different kits, preserving kits, cheese making kits, and Valerie from Green Living Australia, we're going to go through the process of making soft cheeses, and of course those soft cheeses will go into our recipes when we're cooking at farm. So it's all happening, guys. It's going to be just brilliant. Every afternoon at 3 o'clock we'll be doing our cooking finals, having a look at the amateur cooks we've got out there, their family recipes. They'll be sharing it with the tent, and of course we're going to have a panel of very compassionate judges, nothing like the television guys who are very critical. Ours is all going to be about what tastes great, what your family loves, and of course the good guys have got some excellent prizes to give away. Looking forward to farm. That is on July 19th, 20th and 21st. So we have cooking demonstrations for 3 days, and it's going to be a jam-packed weekend. I love that because it means that the community kitchen, which is where it all started, the community kitchen was approached by Farm to come out and show and take our show really to Farm Fantastic, and that thing is growing now, and we have a lot of fantastic exhibitors and a lot of interest in there. It's a fun-filled weekend, and it's all cooking, it's all smells, it's great things. Learn lots of information. We've had bees humming, we've had children cooking, we've done lots of different things in the tent. Each year it changes, but getting started this year is the theme, and I think it gives you the opportunity, if you really haven't been cooking for yourself, come and talk to Jill Skinner, CWA. Annette Sims, of course, she's talking about her fantastic weight loss program, and I think that can be such a daunting thing, but when you've got someone who's sold, I think, 3.5 million recipe books, that's absolutely stunning, amazing. She's going to be sharing some of her wisdom with us. And Lisa Curry, she doesn't need an introduction. We all know that she is just a supreme athlete who has done some wonderful things, coaching and getting some great teams together for their sports. And I think it's lovely that she can share her information that she's learnt over the years with us. I think that's great. Longyard Beef, of course, they're passionate about their hormone steroid beef, steroid-free beef, which I think is great to bring to the tent. We can learn some good stuff. And of course my sister and I are very passionate about family cooking, so we'll be doing lots of fun things. Sunday morning we're going to have a big breakfast cook-up at 8:30, so I think that should be good, and we'll be sharing out some samples there, so it's all happening there. Don't forget, go online to Farm Fantastic, have a look at the Something My Family Loves competition. I think it's worthwhile to have a look at that. I think we might go to a song. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. I was talking about slow foods before. I was talking about warmth, and I'm talking about winter. In this magazine I found the other day, there's this fantastic lamb shank and vegetable soup. cooking times 2 hours, 15 minutes, preparation times 10 minutes. While the toast is cooking or the eggs are poaching, you can have this in the pan. It doesn't take that much. You only need to, depending on your family, and we're talking about 4 here, 4 lamb shanks. They're not that expensive. They taste great. They're nice and meaty and warm. 4 lamb shanks, 1 large onion, a clove of garlic, 4 carrots, some celery sticks, and you can buy this wonderful thing called soup mix, which is a whole selection of different beans, which is just so wonderful. 375 grams, 4 cups of beef stock. If you don't have beef stock, you can use chicken. If you don't have chicken and you've only got water, that's fine. And you'll need 4 cups of water on top of that too. A little bit of salt and pepper, of course, always helps things along. Heat the oil in a heavy base saucepan. Cook your lamb shanks just to get that little bit of flavour in there. Transfer those to a large plate and leave remaining all in the pan. Add your onion, your garlic, your carrot and your celery, and you stir until your onion is just tender. Add your soup mix, stock and water, and bring to the boil. Put your shanks back into the saucepan and make sure they're immersed in the liquid. Reduce heat. If we've got a slow cooker, put it on low, and let that just gently simmer for a couple of hours until the shanks are nice and tender, and you can serve that and enjoy it for winter. Imagine coming in at night. With the slow cookers, you can put them on all day. You could put a few shanks in the slow cooker, leave it cook away, and of course, when we're talking about a soup like that, we're talking about a very hearty soup. All you need is a nice piece of crusty bread with that. And of course, if you are feeling very generous, you can always make a pud to go with that, because families love puddings, and wintertime is one of those things where if you've got a few apples, of course you can make an apple crumble. You can do stuffed apples. You can do a stewed fruit and have that even if you're having it with a little bit of yogurt or custard or ice cream. It's good for children. It's not a bad thing at all. It's something that you can do so easily. You can stew it on top of the stove, you could stew it in the microwave, or even pop it in the oven and do it like a little crumble base. These sort of things are so nice and warming. It's seasonal. There's a reason why the apples are here at winter time and the lemons are available, so that we have all the necessary vitamin C. So don't be afraid to get in there and make some great juice. Make a lemon self-saucing pudding or something delicious, because those sort of things keep you warm. You're not buying takeouts. You're saving that extra money. And seriously, your family's going to love you for it. I think it's one of those things, a little bit of effort. And when you read about the fact that it takes 10 minutes to actually prepare a meal and let it slow cook for the day, what a winter warmer. I think it's fantastic. We talk about it often, and I ask regularly, if you have something that you're very passionate about, you might have a family tradition, you might make some great Italian sausages, you might grow a special type of fruit, you might have some gorgeous figs out there and you're very proud of your garden. You might do something interesting. Who knows what you have? We want to share that. It's called Our Community Kitchen. We love to find out what's going on in our communities, and it's a good way to share. We have Alex Clark from Feast Magazine, who comes and talks to us each month about different families all over Australia. I'm sure in this little neck of the woods called the Moreton Bay region, we have some wonderful home cooks out there. We have some fantastic vegetable growers out there, people who have an orchard at home that have learned a few tricks that they'd like to share with other people. We're more than happy to talk to you. Phone 54951015. They'll put you in touch with me, and you can come and use our new studio. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. You don't get to actually see that. We do. It's brilliant. It's been totally redecorated. We have this all new technology. It really is very upmarket. And of course, if you're going to be coming in and talking on Our Community Kitchen, you get to see that and enjoy the pleasures of what they do here at the radio station. It's fantastic. Thanks for joining me this morning. Of course, give us a buzz if you do have that special interest. I'd love to hear from you. We look forward to being with you next week. Until then, thanks for listening.